Hello, I'm Kerry, this is Bookish Adventures in Wellbeing, and this is not a themed reading vlog. This is the first day of my holidays. I've got some annual leave and I'm off for about 10 days. So I have stuff that I'm doing which might be fun to kind of vlog, but I don't want the restriction of having set books to read. So that's why we're here. I've got some book group books that I'm supposed to read very imminently and just do a bit of mood reading. So that's kind of the aim of the game. So today we're not up to very much. My partner's mending a fence. We're so rock and roll, and I'm going to nip into town. I need to go to the library to pick up a hold. I can't remember what it is, and I was going to just browse some of the charity shops just as to have a little mooch, and that's what today's got in store. I am off to the library then and into town, and you might as well come with. Let's go. Subdued mooch. I didn't buy anything and I'm very proud of myself. I saw a few books that I've read and really loved, and a couple that I might have been tempted by, but nothing really pulled me in. So no purchases, but I did pick up So Late in the Day was the book that I got from the library by Keegan. I reserved this ready for Shorty September. This is my Paul Mescal Shorts prompt book to read, a book by an Irish author. I very much love Keegan, so I'm very excited to have that in my paws. I will buy it, but I'll buy it in paperback when it comes out. But the only other thing that I purchased was a rugby magazine for my father-in-law, and I remembered that I had dry cleaning to pick up, so that was handy as I was passing. But that's it. So aren't I good? I'm going to head home and help with fence putting up, whatever that means. Apparently I just have to hold a pole, which I feel like is within my skill set, but we'll see. I better give you an update, given this is meant to be a blimmin' reading vlog. So I have mostly, since I last spoke to you, been reading the summer book by Tove Jansson. This is translated from the Swedish by Teal. It's really lovely. It's about a grandmother, granddaughter, and their summers spent on an island together, and the adventures that they go on, and the fantasies that they come up with, and they're playing together, the arguments that they have. Each chapter is a kind of standalone snapshot, like a slice of that life. So for example, there's one chapter that's about a cat that they get as a pet and the duration of its kind of life with them. Another chapter might be about just a single conversation or a particular adventure that they go on. It's really beautiful. I'm really particularly enjoying the thing that it's doing really well, I think, is that you're switching back and forth between perspectives. So you're getting both the grandmother and the granddaughter's perspective in the same chapter. Now, if you told me that on paper, I would say that sounds horrendous, but Tove Jansson does it so seamlessly, and you know exactly whose thoughts and perspective that you're in without needing to kind of question it or think about it. It's just really slick and very, very clever. So I'm enjoying it from that point of view. The other thing that I think is really beautiful about it is that, you know, it's centered around various summer expeditions and holidays and just summer times. And you've got the granddaughter who's coming up to the summer of her life, and you've got the grandmother who is coming to the end of the summer of her life. She's starting to forget things, she's in slightly ill health, and I think, you know, capturing that transience through these stories and anecdotes is a really beautiful thing. So I'm thoroughly enjoying that. It's very funny. They're both quite cantankerous characters in lots of ways. But yeah, it's a lovely read so far. I've only got a couple more chapters to go, and then at the end of it there's an afterword by Tove's niece, who's also called Sophia. So I suspect this is very close to autofiction, if not exactly that. It's definitely described as a novel, so not autobiographical directly, but certainly will have drawn from personal experiences. I think the picture of this island on the front is actually a photo from the family and an island where they've spent summers. So yeah, it's lovely. Today we're going on our first day trip. So it's been the bank holiday weekend, and you know, we don't like people, so we've mostly stayed at home and just buzzed about just having a pretty chilled weekend. But today is bank holiday Monday. We're going to Cardiff with some friends. We're going to Golfang, which is mini golf but for grown-ups. There's cocktails. So that'll be really good fun, and then we're going for something to eat and we'll get the train home again. So that's the plan for today, and I'll let you know. I shall take you with me and show you some of the fun. I've just been blackberry picking, so I have purple fingers. But while I'm here, I'm taking pictures of the summer book for Instagram because I finished it this morning. It was so lovely. I really enjoyed this, and I really particularly enjoyed the relationship between them, little girl and grandmother. Reading the afterword by Tove Jansson's niece was really interesting, and so the island is very much the island that they still own and have used as a family, as a kind of summer bolt hold for years and years. And she talked about how she used it as a place to quarantine during COVID. And she did touch on whether, you know, the autobiographical nature of this book. She said that when Tove used to be asked that question, she would say that 1/3 was based on Sophia, her niece, 1/3 was based on her own childhood, and 1/3 was completely made up. But yeah, it was so beautiful. The grandmother, I think, was very much based on Tove's mother, Sophia's grandmother. But yeah, really gorgeous book. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Next up, I have picked up Land of Milk and Honey this morning, and this is one of my most anticipated reads of the year. It's blurbed by some really interesting people: Gabrielle Zevin, Roxane Gay, Douglas Stewart, Emma Donoghue, Caleb Azuma Nelson and Raven Leilani. They're all quite modern authors. I don't know why that surprises me. It does. So let me read you the blurb because I think this premise sounds fantastic. A smog has spread, food is disappearing, and a chef escapes her career in London to take a job at a decadent mountaintop colony, an experiment in a new way of living and eating. There, her mysterious employer and his visionary daughter have built a lush new life for the global elite, one that reawakens the chef to the pleasures of taste and touch. Before long, she is pushed to discover the real nature of the project, a startling attempt to reshape the world far beyond the place. I've read the very first, it's not the first chapter, it's almost like a prelude, and it's really, really intriguing. So I'm looking forward to getting into that. That's all I have to say. Hello. I thought I'd say hello, let you know what we've been up to. Yesterday we went blackberry picking, and last night we went out for a really nice dinner, had a smashing cocktail or two or three. We played Guess Who, which Duncan was both simultaneously crap at and also managed to win every game, which was infuriating. Yeah, so we had a really nice chilled day yesterday. Today is a big day. Today we are going blacksmithing. Yes, blacksmithing. So somewhere near Hereford, we're going to go and make a metal rose that's going to go in the garden. So that's later on this afternoon. In the meantime, I'm going to use my blackberry haul to make this recipe, which is for blackberry and cream cheese muffins. It's from the Sweet Roasting Tin recipe book, and yeah, that's what I'm doing just now, and then later blacksmithing. I have read a few chapters of Land of Milk and Honey. So far our main character is a chef, and we're in like a world, it's not post-apocalyptic as such, but there's been this kind of event where the world is covered in smog, and so things can't grow anymore, animals don't thrive, livestock doesn't thrive, and so everybody, the population, is basically living on this kind of mung bean protein. But our main character is a chef. She's American, but she's stuck in London because America shut its borders when the smog situation happened and there was all these shortages of food. And so to escape this kind of like situation, she gets a kind of mysterious job. And that's working for a father-daughter duo who are incredibly wealthy. And they've bought a section of the Italian Alps because very, very high up is above the smog level, and so some things are able to grow, and they're pioneering being able to grow crops and animals and all of that sort of thing. So the daughter is a bit of a kind of like eccentric mad scientist, and the father is a kind of like very wealthy businessman, and so our chef is employed by them to cook the things that they've been able to grow, and also to kind of entertain potential investors into their schemes. There's lots of sense of foreboding about the future. We know that the narrator is looking back at these times, and so something's going to go wrong, and she alludes to that with comments about, oh, but you know, if I'd known now what I knew then, that sort of thing. But it's a good time. It's not quite what I thought. I thought it was going to be that they'd created essentially a bit of a kind of like theme park for the rich in this semi-post-apocalyptic situation, but it's not that. It's mostly her and the daughter. There's very few characters in here. It's mostly her, the daughter, and the father, although we haven't seen much of the father. So really it's kind of those two characters for the most part, and a cat. I suspect they might get it on because the blurb talks about the chef rediscovering the pleasures of food and sex. We're quite a long way in. I'm on page 70, so kind of that much in, and she's still struggling to enjoy food. She's been so long without tasting proper food, she's not able to enjoy the incredible stuff that she's cooking, like really cordon bleu recipes with really fantastic ingredients. The food writing is amazing. So if you are somebody who likes reading about food in books, definitely pick this up. It's delicious. Yeah, so I'm having a good time with this so far. The other thing that I have been reading, which I picked up from my wish list as a bit of a treat to myself, is Little Stories of Your Life. This is by Laura Pashby, and it's all about capturing kind of little moments of magic in the everyday. So she's talking about both taking photos and journaling or note-taking or whatever. And it's really nice, it's meditative, there's some lovely photos in here, and it is kind of getting those creative juices flowing. So I'm enjoying kind of picking this up and putting it down whilst I'm in and out doing other activities. Okay, so blackberry muffin making coming up, and blacksmithing coming up later today. Good morning. Look at the rose that we made yesterday. It's so good. Yeah, really happy with that. It was great. We had a great time. Today I am going off on a solo trip. I'm going to take the train to Cardiff. I'm going to a couple of bookshops, and then I'm meeting my gran for lunch. I won't film lunch because trying to explain YouTube to my gran feels like something that I'm not prepared for today. But I'll certainly show you the book shopping. So that's the plan for the day. I'm still working my way through Land of Milk and Honey, so I'm hoping to do a bit of reading on the train, and no doubt I will show you as we go. I'm sorry, bud, you're staying here. I've just walked down to the train station and snort laughed my way down because I'm listening to Normal People, which is a podcast that I've recently discovered. and it's very funny. And it makes me laugh very loud, out loud in public, and I don't care a bit because it's hilarious. I wanted to tell you, there's this interesting phenomenon at Chepstow train station. Every time I come here to get the train, there is somebody having their own private rave on the platform. Sometimes with music out loud, sometimes not, but always like a scally looking lad dancing and doing his own, kind of like throwing some shapes on their own. Do you think they have a rota? They're here all the time? Every time. Obviously I'm not going to film that because that makes me mean, although here I am laughing about it and telling you about it. Okay, am I the villain? Yes. Yeah, I thought I'd share that with you. If you ever come to Chepstow train station, do you ever see somebody having their own little private rave? I mean, good for them, right? Good morning. I had a lovely day yesterday. Got birds at the window. Hold on. Oh, they've just flown away. We're literally just in the feeder. Yeah, really nice day yesterday in Cardiff. Bought some books, which I'll show you later. But we are up early today because I'm going for a waterfall swim. We're going off to Pontneddfechan, which is about an hour and a half away. So we've got up early to drive there, walk the dogs, and I'm going in for a dip. Well, didn't we have a lovely day yesterday going swimming at the waterfalls? Brennan came for a swim, Sam wasn't keen, and bless his heart, my partner is not a videographer. I don't think I've got any footage of me swimming, bless him. But I took lots of lovely videos of the waterfalls because it's, yeah, such a beautiful place. So hopefully you'll have seen that, just not me swimming, but it did happen, I promise. I finished Land of Milk and Honey this morning. I've got paint on my finger because Duncan's been painting up a ladder, painting a window. I've been holding the ladder, but somehow it's still... Sorry, I was interrupted because Duncan's going out tonight and wanted to lift into town. I was telling you that I have paint on my fingers because Duncan has been painting the upstairs windows and I have been very skillfully holding the ladder. That's been most of our day. The other thing that we've mostly done today is sat in front of several devices trying to get bloody Oasis tickets and failing miserably. I finally, at like gone 5 o'clock this evening, got to choosing tickets, and I could get standing tickets, which is what we wanted, but they were for £356 each. So we opted not to do that in favour of booking to go away for a week in October, because realistically that was going to be a grand for a day out, which, you know, would have been really fucking cool day out, but yeah, no. Gutted. Did you get tickets? Did you try? Boo. Anyway, I was telling you, I finished Land of Milk and Honey by Zhang. It's a weird little book. So I've told you a little bit about it. I think things basically got more sinister as we went on. So our chef, her employer, who we don't, he's just referred to as her employer, makes her do more and more kind of like peculiar things until she's basically explicitly told to pretend to be somebody else. I won't go into too much detail because I don't want to give spoilers. And she does less and less cooking and more of this pretending to be somebody else. But we do get to see more interaction with other characters. Her role is basically to convince investors to invest in their scheme to create this... Brennan, thank you. To invest in this scheme where they're creating this community which is safe from the smog The thing that's interesting about this is that it's all about food, right? She's cooking, or it's all about the food, how they use food to manipulate others, how food triggers memories and consciousness and, sorry, not consciousness, conscience. Throughout this book, it's metaphor after metaphor about food and cooking, but I didn't tire of it at all. Somehow it wasn't overdone. Ha! Pun not intended. Which I think is incredibly skillful, to have a book that is so almost completely about food and eating, and to use that as a continuous metaphor throughout your book, and for it not to feel like eye-rollingly too much, I think was a real skill. Her writing is, I can't put my finger on it. When I read Land of Milk and Honey, I kind of enjoyed it and respected it for what it did, but I didn't like gush over it straight away. But it's one of those books that sort of lives rent-free for a long time after you finished it, and I still think about it occasionally. And I suspect this will be the same. I mean, the concept of this... Hello, Samuel. Thank you. He's brought me a snowman. Thank you very much. Got any thoughts, comments? Anything to add? No. There's something about her writing that is, sentence for sentence, this is incredibly constructed. I don't know, I can't put my finger on it. I can't. There's something quite technical about her writing that I am not clever enough to figure out what's working for me, but there's something that really is working for me. Yeah, anyway, sorry, talking complete nonsense and being very inarticulate, but you know, it is what it is. So yeah, things take, you know, increasingly nefarious turns. The main character in this, I thought, was kind of interesting because she clearly wants to take the moral high ground, but is entirely and mostly willingly complicit in all of the nefarious goings on, and yet is still kind of judgy about it. Yeah, she's an interesting character. So yeah, most of this book is about that, and then the last sort of quarter, maybe even less than that, is about what happens after. And you know, you get a bit more of the legacy. The other thing that I thought that I appreciated about this book very much is that it's clearly a statement about climate crisis, right? That this whole book is because there has been a human cause for a smog that covers the whole earth and restricts basically obliterates most of the flora and fauna, and people can only live in either very high climes or on very remote islands where the smog doesn't exist. No, that's not true. People live all over the place. They live within the smog, but the elite and the rich go to those places where it's above the smog. It's a statement about climate crisis, right? But I think I like books that speak to relevant, like, key real life issues. But I think there's a really fine line to tread between commentary and being preachy. This book really skillfully lent really far away from being preachy at all, because the damage was already done, right? This is a statement about what could happen in the future. So it didn't feel heavy-handed in talking about climate crisis, but it also said an awful lot at the same time. Like, this is how bad things could go. So that was a huge success, I think, and I suspect, like with Land of Milk, this is Land of Milk and Honey, like with How Much of These Hills is Gold, this will be a grower. Even still. I should probably also say, for the animal lovers, I would go into this with some awareness, I guess. They sort of lab breed lots of different types of animals for food, and they're not always the types of animals that we would eat for food now. And there's one particular scene that's quite disturbing, deliberately so. But if you are an animal lover, then yeah, worth knowing that going into this. That's Land of Milk and Honey that I finished. The other thing that I have been reading today, and I am most of the way through actually, I've literally got about 30 pages left, so I've been listening to the dulcet tones of Graham Norton, is Forever Home. But whilst I've been holding the ladder, I've had the audiobook in my ears and I've been dipping in and out of the physical book. This is one of my book club's picks for this month, for August, and we are meeting on Wednesday to discuss it, and today is Saturday, so I'm very glad that I've flown through this in basically a day so that I can go to book club and not have the shame of not having read the book. It's weird because I've had it out for the library for, well, probably for pretty much the whole month, and I've just not fancied it. But after Land of Milk and Honey, I thought actually something a bit lighter would be quite good. It's really good fun. I've only read one Graham Norton before, and that's one of the quick reads, so The Swimmer. So obviously that was a very quick book, and I enjoy his writing style. He's kind of quietly funny. I know he's a comic, but it's a kind of like internal chuckle inducing. And he writes a lot about kind of Irish family life, if you like. In this, there's a mother character called Moira, and she is fucking hilarious. She's what, on the surface, what you might consider to be a typical kind of Irish overbearing, overly judgmental mother, but she's also got some shady contacts that she's put into good use in this. So this is meant to be a little bit twisty turny. Should I tell you what it's about? It's about Carol, who is a divorcee, and she marries Declan. No, she gets together with Declan. They're both kind of older. Declan's got 2 children. I think they're teenage when they get together, and their mother, Declan's wife, just walked out and disappeared. So then he met Carol, they get together. So we fast forward to current day, and Declan has been put in a home because he's got early onset dementia, and his 2 now adult children decide he should go into a home, and they kick Carol out of the house, basically, which is pretty mean. So Carol's mum and dad, so Carol has she's 48, has to move back in with her mum and dad, and they decide, like, screw the kids, we're going to buy the house back for you, which they do under like a company name. But when they do that, they discover something about the house which creates a bit of a mystery, and that's what this book is about. I shall say no more. So there's some really gentle twists and turns in this. It's not like a rip-roaring thriller, but yeah, it's, if you want something very gentle, lightly humorous, a bit of fluff, I've very much enjoyed it. I've still got a little bit to go, so hopefully there's nothing too outrageous that will change my mind about that in the last few lots of pages. Anyway, I've been wittering for 12 minutes 49 seconds, and I have Chinese going cold, so I'm going to go eat that, and I'll let you know what I think of Forever Home when I finish it. Today is Sunday, and I've just popped into town to drop off a parcel in the lockers for Vinted, and called into the Chepstow bookshop to pick up a copy of Book Time. This is a free magazine available in most independent bookshops, I should think, which shows kind of new releases and upcoming releases. So it's released every 2 months, I think. It's a really smashing little magazine, gives you a good idea of what's coming out soon. So I've got one of those for me, one for my father-in-law, and accidentally also bought a book. I'll tell you about it later. It's occurred to me that I didn't show you the books that I bought in Cardiff the other day, so I'll do that briefly. I'm going to do a book haul for the books I bought in August, because despite saying I wasn't going to do that, I have a stack of books that I bought in August. So I won't do a full kind of explanation of them all, but I'll show you what I've got from Cardiff and the one that I bought today.
later perhaps. It's Sunday, did I say that already? It's Sunday and the weather is about to turn. So we're at the end of our week off, activities are concluded, and we've been really lucky. The weather was forecast to be really shite all week, and it's been lovely. It's been dry and warm and delightful. So I don't begrudge an afternoon of rain, because I plan to get under a blanket and read for the rest of the day. That's my plan. So very happy for nature to decide that for me today. It occurred to me that I didn't tell you that I finished Forever Home yesterday. I read this in a day. I was listening to it on audio and reading, so it was a really quick, easy read, and it landed exactly where I thought it was going to land. It was a really lovely mystery crime, cozy mystery crime. So it made me think of Johanna at Me, My Dog and Books, because she's recently been asking for recommendations for like cozy crime, cozy mysteries without romance. This definitely ticks that box. It was cracking read. Yeah, a nice palate cleanser or a circuit breaker, just something really easy to read that was entertaining, and yeah, it was a good time. So well done, Graham Norton. That was lovely. I'm glad I fit it in, actually. I was kind of umming and ahhing about it, and book club is Wednesday when they're discussing it, and I was a bit like, oh, I'm not going to get to it. Maybe I'll give it a miss, but I'm glad I did. I'm glad I did. So today is the 1st of September, which means we have started Shorty September, which is a read along hosted by Sean and Bert at Past Story Time and Heather at Too Many Heathers. I've done a TBR and a recommendations video. So I have picked my first book, which is, the prompt is paper bag shorts. And that's to read a book with something on the cover that would fit, the prompt is shorts with pockets, and that's to read a book with something on the cover that will fit in your pocket. And so I am reading Poyums by Len Pennie. This is a collection of poetry. It's really, really brilliant. Len Pennie is just an angel sent from heaven to challenge misogyny and the patriarchy in the form of Scots poetry. That's what she is. Yeah, so I'm loving this. I've been reading it this morning. I'm a third of the way through, I think. And of course it's got a match on the cover and that fits in your pocket. So that's what I shall be reading. I also have a cup of tea, and I also picked up Book Time. I'll have a leaf through this with my tea. So I have my book of poetry, check. I have my bookish magazine, check. I have my tea brewing, check. I have my weighted blanket, check. And that's basically me set for this afternoon. Well, that's it. It's Magic Monday, my last day off of annual leave, back in work tomorrow. And we've reached the end of our week. Today I am walking the dogs, as you can see, and mostly cleaning. But God, did the weather get the memo about it being September or what? Been really lucky this week. The forecast was shocking all week, and then we had actually really nice weather until today. It's a bit of rain, it's kind of misty, and there's leaves dropping from the trees. It's almost like somebody's flipped a switch and said, right, it's time to get ready for autumn. I am not one of those people that's like, yes, 1st of September it's autumn. I would very much like a warm September to ease me into the burr months, but we'll see. Still reading Poyums by Len Pennie and really enjoying that. Brennan, come on please. Stop eating that grass. Come on. Toad. Yeah, very much enjoying those. And I am listening to They by K Dick, all for Shorty September, which is kicking off to a rather marvellous start. Yeah, so that's, here he comes. That's the plan for today. I don't like cleaning. I like a clean house, but I fucking hate cleaning. So I usually try to incentivise myself with read a chapter, do a job, read a chapter, do a job. So that's basically the plan for today. I'm not going to film that because that'd be boring. So at this point, I'm going to say thank you very much for joining me on my lovely week off. I've had such a nice time. I hard recommend a staycation with some activity days. It's been really lovely, and I'm very grateful to you for coming along with me. Yeah, I hope you're all right. Hope you're looking after yourself. Stay hydrated, have a big glass of water if you haven't already today. And yeah, I'll see you again in the next one.